Hey, what's going on, A-Push people? Video number 31 for you today, and this one is on Jewish immigration to America from the 1800s up to the end of World War II. Before I begin, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Piconi's class. Good luck. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the support. You're going to do awesome on this year's A-Push exam. Let's start off by talking about what were the pushing factors that led so many Jews immigrating from Southern and Eastern Europe to the United States starting in the 1800s? For Jews residing in the Old World during the 1800s, the main push factors were related to an abrupt increase in the number of laws passed in Russia that sought to suppress Jews, especially in terms of their ability to practice their religion freely. Jews under these were, for example, banned from growing side locks, a popular Jewish hairstyle, and from wearing specific traditional clothing. Jews were also segregated into two groups based on their functionality. Jewish males were ordered to enlist into the Russian military at the age of 12, when the average age of Russian enlistment was 20, and those who refused to enlist were expelled from their settlements or kidnapped. In the 1840s, laws were enforced to require Jews to pay special taxes to attend segregated Jewish schools. The Jewish community was distraught because these schools were made to assimilate the Jews into Christian schools. As for the pull factors, in other words, reasons why Jews were drawn to the United States, there were many. One was that most Russian Jews admired America's First Amendment, which guaranteed the freedom of religion. With intoxicating guarantee to freedom in their mind, Jews from Russia were pulled to the United States. Another pull factor in the 1800s was that most Jews sought the financial prosperity and the social advancement that America offered in its northeastern industrial urban neighborhoods. Going to America, however, proved to be a challenge because the Jews lacked the money to travel. Most of the Jews were poor merchants. They ended up taking steamships from extremely high possibilities of sinking. The ship's living conditions were terrible. Usually the husbands would be the first to go to America. After he found a job and made money, he would give money to his family so that they could sail overseas to join him in America. The immigration of Jews was incredibly low, with about 1,000 Jews leaving Russia a year. Upon arrival at places such as Ellis Island, most immigrants tended to live in culturally segregated poor areas of larger cities such as New York, Boston, and Philadelphia. Most Jewish immigrants found work in factories in the north, and they produced garments, food, and cigars. Employed Jewish immigrants supported the labor movements first for better working conditions in factories. It wasn't until World War I that approximately more than 2.5 million Jews immigrated from Eastern Europe to other countries such as the United States, Canada, and Argentina. With this in mind, we can now discuss what happened between Jews and Americans after the late 1800s. Because of the economic pressure added by the Great Depression in the 1930s, Americans disliked the idea of immigrants. The sense of American nationalism and xenophobia grew, with the word xenophobia best defined as the fear of immigrants. Workers feared that immigrants would steal available jobs from Americans and that they were potential spies. By 1921, nativism and xenophobia had reached such a peak that something called the Immigration Quota Act was passed. This law capped the annual intake of immigrants at 350,000 individuals, which mostly affected Southern and Eastern Europeans. Only a small portion of Jews received visas, as immigration services denied any immigrant visas who were likely to become a public charge. Secretary of Labor Francis Perkins argued that immigrants fleeing from racial or religious persecution should have the right to flee to the United States. Jewish immigration was also slowed down in 1935 as Nazis stripped Jews of their citizenship. The State Department believed that Perkins' ideas stirred up unwanted tensions with Germany, and they thought it would be unfair to American citizens who did not have jobs to allow immigrants to take their positions. Jews at that period of time boarded passenger ships and sailed to the United States to get an American citizenship. In 1931, one of these passenger ships, the St. Louis, and over 900 Jewish refugees, was forced to sail along the coast of Florida because they were not allowed to land in America or Cuba until they got permission. The Jewish immigrants aboard the ship pleaded with President Franklin Roosevelt to allow them to immigrate, but Roosevelt did not let the passenger ship dock. The St. Louis was forced to sail back to Europe, and more than 250 people were killed by the Nazis. In 1943, an emergency committee to save the Jewish people was established. The State Department's objections toward the program angered Jewish Secretary of Treasury Henry Morgenthau Jr., And in 1944, Morgenthau went to President Roosevelt and revealed the State Department's objections in his report to the Secretary on the acquiescence of this government in the murder of the Jews. Roosevelt then established a War Refugee Board in 1944. The board established sanctuaries in Europe and found ways to let Jewish immigrants live in America. Overall, the influx of Jewish immigrants to America during World War II was caused mainly by Adolf Hitler and the relentless persecution Jews faced in Europe. And that's the story of Jewish immigration to America 1880s through the end of World War II. All right, guys, looking forward to seeing you back here for video number 32. Hope y'all get that 5 on that upcoming AP score. Thanks for watching and best of luck always. Have a good day.